All right, today we're going to dive into something pretty wild, something you might even call criminal. We're talking about how languages are all basically thieves.
But, before we point fingers at languages all over the world, I have a confession to make.
Yep, the English language, this language right here, is a total thief. I mean, it's one of the biggest word snatchers in history. It's got sticky fingers, and it's been lifting words from everywhere. So let's look at its MO, right? How does it pull off these heists?
Okay, so method number one. This is the simple, direct approach, the smash and grab, if you will. In the biz, linguists call this borrowing. It's not subtle, but man, is it effective.
And listen, when we say borrowing, don't think of it like borrowing a book from a friend. You're not giving this back. It's more like you borrow your neighbor's fancy grill, and then it just becomes your grill. The language just sees a word it wants, snags it, and makes it part of the family. No takebacks.
Seriously, you do this all the time without even thinking about it. You order a croissant? Boom, that's French. You play the piano? That's Italian. That yogurt in your fridge? Turkish. The zebra at the zoo? That comes from a Bantu language. And yeah, your boss? That's straight up Dutch. English is basically this amazing collage of stolen goods. But okay, our thief isn't always a brute. Sometimes it's a bit more sneaky, a little more clever. Instead of just grabbing the word, it steals the idea of the word and puts it in a clever disguise. This slick move is called a calque.
So a calque, you can also call it a loan translation. It's like linguistic spycraft. The language doesn't take the actual foreign word. Nope. It looks at how that word is built, piece by piece, and then translates each little bit literally using its own words. Think of it like stealing the blueprints for a fancy car and then building it yourself with parts you have in your own garage.
All right, let's open up a case file and see this in action. The target? The skyscraper. A brand new idea that suddenly needed a name in a ton of different languages.
So check this out. English comes up with skyscraper. Pretty literal, right? A thing that scrapes the sky. Now, French could have just borrowed that word, but instead they stole the blueprint. They created gratte-ciel, which literally means scrape sky. And German did the same thing with Wolkenkreuzer, which means cloud scraper. See? Same exact idea, just using their own homegrown parts.
Okay, next case file. Let's switch gears to something a little less architectural and a lot funnier. We're talking about the good old American hot dog.
So when this masterpiece started showing up in Spanish-speaking countries, people had a choice. They could just call it a hot dog, right? Easy. But nope, a lot of them went for the calque. They just took hot and they took dog, and they translated them one by one.
And this is where it gets funny, because this is the risk you run with a literal translation. Perros calientes doesn't actually mean sausage in a bun. The literal translation is dogs that are hot, as in canines that are feeling a little warm. It's just a perfect, hilarious example of how a calque works.
So look, we've been having fun with this whole thief metaphor, but it's really not a crime. This is how languages grow and evolve. They're alive, They're always talking to each other, trading ideas, borrowing stuff. It's what keeps them rich and lets them talk about new things in the world.
And now that you know the two main methods, the direct borrowing heist and the clever calque disguise, it's your turn. Time for you to become a linguistic detective and start noticing the words you use every day.
So, I'll leave you with this question to investigate on your own time. Think about your own language. What words did it totally steal from somewhere else? And can you spot any of those sneaky calques hiding right there in plain sight? Trust me, once you start looking, you'll see the evidence is absolutely everywhere.